Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Atta's first webinar of 2019. This afternoon's webinar is going to be presented by Birgit Becker, who is the Sales and Marketing Director for Ultimate Safaris in Namibia. And the webinar is going to focus on their new and exclusive villa experience, the Nest at Sossus. Ultimate Safaris is considered to be a leading authority on travel to Namibia, often pioneering ways in which to experience the country, with a carefully selected group of specialists such as Birgit, who are passionate about all things Namibian and who understand the importance of seamless guest services. If anybody has any questions during the webinar, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. I'll then field these to Birgit at the end of the webinar. A recording of it will also be emailed to anyone who has registered. Birgit, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sally. I hope you can hear me clearly. And thank you to everybody who's attended this webinar. I'm very excited to introduce the Nest at Sossus to everybody. It's a very different product to what Ultimate has offered, but I think it's also quite a unique product generally in the Namibia context. And so I'm really excited to share what's happening and what's hot in Namibia at this stage. The Nest has confused a lot of people. What is it? How do we sell it? Is it just another lodge? So just to explain a little bit of background story about it. It started as a project for Swen Bachran, who is basically a landscape conservationist, entrepreneur. You know, imagine Jochen Zeitz for Zagera. This is what Swen Bachran is for Namibia. And he's actually built this villa for his own personal use. He's consulted with Porky Hefer, who is the designer of the place, as well as with Maybe Corpaci, who decorated it, to really come up with a unique design. And the design is inspired by the Sociable Weaver's nest design. For those that are familiar with the nest, it's basically this huge, massive nest, usually taking up most of the tree, a lot of these camel thorn trees. He opened this villa to tourism. We've only officially opening it in April this year, but we've done some soft launches in the previous year, hosting some high-end families, just to try it out and see how this works in the context. What is exciting is that this villa will always ever only be sold on exclusive basis. So your guests will get there and will not share with any other guests, not other strangers. They've got the host, they've got the personal use of their personal guide. We only send our best guides there, private butler. We fly in a gourmet chef as a French Namibian chef to host guests during that time. We literally relocate our team to go to the villa to personally host them for that time period. And it's really exciting for us to offer something that no one else offers. This is not a lodge experience. Because we relocate this team, this top and A team down to the Nest every time we host guests, it's best sold for groups of 4 up to 7. It's not really ideal to sell it for 2 guests, just simply because operational costs covered by 2 guests are quite excessive. And we don't want to give this wrong impression of the value that this lodge offers. What is especially suitable for it is that it's very children friendly. So the previous groups that we hosted were all families, high-end families. And there's something amazing about that, being able to host guests on a personal basis without worrying about guests and stuff like that. Now, we were really excited when we did a soft launch of the Nest last year. We've actually hosted top journalists at the Nest, including Stanley Stewart, Lisa Granger, and Peter Brown. And the Nest is featured, this is even before we've done the official launch, featured in the Travel and Leisure, Condé Nast Traveler, in Porter Magazine, and in Wallpaper, among others. People are excited. We've pretty much just shown the journalists our Nest, and this is the report that came back. But just hot off the press, what we're really excited about is that we've just won the best new private house at the Nest. Thanks to, if you look at the Wallpaper magazine, they've just awarded us best new private house. And the competition has been tight. We're talking Shapeshifter House in Reno, Towers Road House in Melbourne, Kirschgarten House in Switzerland, and a range of other amazing properties that we had to compete with. So wow, things are really happening in Namibia. We can't believe it ourselves that we're becoming cool now. Namibia has always been special, but to become cool has been something really unique. So a little bit more detail of how we sell the Nest. It is open year round as from April this year. The Nest itself is completed, it's done. We're just doing some back of house staffing, just trying to make it a little bit more tourist friendly. As I said, this was actually created initially as a private residence. The Nest is more than just your lodge. It really is our experience. And therefore, we only ideally recommend it for minimum 3 nights. This is not the kind of place where you get in, stay a night, have an activity, get out again. Minimum 3 nights. We have an opening special where minimum 3 nights includes hot air ballooning with Namib Sky. It's weather permitting as always, non-refundable if it cancels because of weather, because we're absorbing the costs. We've also hosted guests for 2 nights, but then this ballooning special doesn't apply. But to be very honest, for the type of product this place is, it's a pity if you're coming only for 2 nights and you want to enjoy and linger longer and really have the most of this place. If you look at the design, it is really quirky. This is literally a thatched wall. So this entire wall is made from that thickly thatched design. It's really something very different. It's made to be very environmentally friendly, fits in with the nature environment. We've got basically 3 private ensuite bedrooms. Important to note that each bedroom only has a double bed. So it's going to be a bit awkward if you have friends traveling together. The beds can't be pulled apart. They're not twin beds. And then the 3rd room is a kiddie's bed. It's only suitable for kids. It's got basically this pod-shaped bunk beds, so not ideal for adults. It's also got the master bedroom, which is in the top floor, and then the 2 double bedrooms. So again, families would probably be best because it's just a much more intimate family house experience that we offer. It's got indoor and outdoor lounge and dining areas. We actually have a projector film room here, so we've screened movies for family. The other day we had a high-end family and we showed them the screening of the Quandib Lions, the 5 Musketeers, the Desert Lion, board games. So you can see it really works well in that intimate, high-end family setting. Now, as mentioned, that Swen Bachran, who's the owner of this villa, is similar to Jochen Zeitz. And he's also a great art enthusiast. And he's commissioned local as well as international artists to have installations and display both inside and outside. It's very, very different. This is, clay head is about the size of a Land Cruiser. So it's really coming out of the world, very different. But it's subtle. It fits in with the environment. So nothing is out of place. And let's face it, Namibia is already a weird destination as it is. It's got a pool area, it's got a discreet children playground, the kids can run around free. We have a floodlit waterhole for wildlife viewing. Now the Namib Tsaris Nature Reserve, where this villa is based on, which is a private reserve, has a surprising healthy number of wildlife, including oryx, springbok, kudu, a mountain zebra, eland. We know they're leopard in the area, though we have never seen them really, but we know they're there. Small mammals like bat-eared foxes, and amazing bird wildlife. So it's not just desolate desert, it's actually quite a lush paradise for the area. Now the advantages of the Nest Sossus are that it's located on a private nature reserve, but it still has good access to, what's Namibia's prime attraction, the Sossusvlei dunes. It's about a 40-minute drive to the Sesame entrance, so not much further or closer than any of the other properties in the area. Your guests are personally hosted by the private guide and a specially modified Toyota Cruiser of ours with air conditioning. We do the visits in the morning to Sossusvlei and with this magic box picnic lunch under the camel thorn tree. And as I mentioned before, on 3-night stays, we do ballooning. The ballooning will be on the ballooning reserve. We also suggest scenic flights. All these options are possible. So the first morning, guests usually do the Sossusvlei excursion, which is a highlight or, something that people want to see, a must-see. But what's really special about this is not just, I'm going to go to Sossusvlei checklist and then leave out. A lot of the memorable experiences are the ones that aren't actually including Sossusvlei, but exploring the Namib Tsaris Conservancy. It's a private reserve, so there are no other cars, no other guests. So those that know Sossusvlei, no, it can be quite congested with every self-driver and bus group and lodge operator with a game drive vehicle there. It can be really, really busy. So it's really nice to come back to the Conservancy and just have this piece of desert to yourself. We offer scenic guided nature walks and drives. A lot of people are so tired from all the driving, so we do a lot of exploration by foot. Stargazing nighttime photography, we've got some stunning quiver trees in the area. So if you have keen photographers, because it's a private reserve, there's no national park rules that you have to be out by sunrise or sunset. What is a special highlight, and this is a surprise for most of our guests, we drive up this plateau for guests before sunrise to have a sunrise breakfast over the views of the Namib Desert. In the distance, you'll actually see the red dunes of Sossusvlei, and it's just the most stunning view, having a freshly prepared breakfast right on there. We are introducing mountain plus biking, which is a offshoot between a mountain bike and a fat bike. There's some stunning trails, both jeep trails and game trails. Again, people get to explore by foot and by two wheels rather than just drive in a vehicle all day. Because this is a private experience, the activities are tailored around to the guests. So if the guests really want to go on a long mountain bike trail, by all means, we can take it. There are different technical levels, so you don't have to do big technical things. If you have guests that just want to leisurely stroll after dinner, that's also possible. You know, this is the nice thing about a private villa. We ask what you'd like, and we arrange it for you. So when we had the high-end family stay with us in December, we did a mountain bike tour in the at sunrise, all the way up to the plateau. It was a really nice, beautiful drive up. You didn't need technical skills. Drove on the plateau, arrived at this pool. It's basically an old farm pool. Refresh there, then get to the breakfast break and brunch, and then we drive them back with a vehicle, or they can mountain bike back. The options are really infinite. So if people ask, how do we sell it? The emphasis is small groups, groups of friends, ideally high-end families. We have hosted high-end couples before, but it's just price relative to operational costs are difficult to absorb. Basically sell this as a desert experience where you actually have surprisingly number of game, you have a dune fields area, you've got the quiver trees, you've got good access to Sossusvlei. The nest is easily accessible by road and by air, including sea trades with scenic air. The nearest airstrip is about a 30-minute drive, not even. People can drive there. We can host our guests from Windhoek who can drive into Nest. So it has this exclusive, wild, remote experience without being a long mission to access. I mean, it's an hour, 10 minutes flight out of Windhoek. And that's just a quick, basic overview of the Nest. You know, there's so much to talk about it, but I also don't want to waffle on about it. I want to show you each bedroom's bathrooms, and this is the bathroom tub, and this is the shower tub. For the right clientele, we've had amazing feedback. This works especially well at the end of your Namibian safari. It's really the kind of place where you go, wow, we just had 2 weeks in Namibia, what an adventure. And then you arrive at your own personal desert paradise. With the best sundowner spots in Namibia. And that's it from me, the short and sweet. I know there's some questions and answers. I don't know, Sally, if there were any that we can address quickly. I'd love to do that.
Thank you so much, Birgit. That was truly incredible. I'm sure we can all agree. Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, if anyone has any questions, please do click the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and just type them into the box there, and I will field them to Birgit. We'll just wait a couple of minutes and see. There doesn't seem to be any questions coming through. Oh, I've got one in the chat box. So Birgit, this is from Simona. How have you arranged the energy generation at the lodge? Is it solar or diesel? Any plans for renewables?
Yes, so we want to go fully solar. It still has the backup generator for now. That's why we also don't have air conditioning in the villa, because the way the design is, it provides quite natural cooling. There's a lot of emphasis on, I mean, Swen is obsessive about when you drive a game drive, does you see bottle cap somewhere and keeping it pristine. And we're busy actually investigating efficient solar to fully solar it up. Because that's actually a big passion of Swen's.
Thanks. Okay, we've got one from Suzanne, which says, it's a very unique product. What would you combine it with for a family?
So I think what works really well is the Northwest. So we've done a lot of combinations of Shipwreck and Juana Valley, or the Northwest of Namibia, ending at Nest. you know, the kind of family that stays at the nest doesn't want to go where every other tourist goes. So they don't necessarily want to share a big 20 lodge room with other guests. So Shipwreck Lodge, Juana Belly works well. Of course, starting in Etosha and ending in Sossusvlei also works really well. If you look at some of the private villas, like Little Ngava's private 3-suite villa, and you enter the nest, it keeps that kind of consistency going as well. But generally, we recommend ending at the nest because there's very few places where people are hosted exclusively.
Okay, thanks. Do we have any more questions? I think that looks to be it. We've just got a couple of thank yous. And a thank you
Cool.
from me, of course. Great. Well, thanks everyone for attending. Thank you so much, Birgit. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you'll all receive a copy of the recording shortly this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in. And, you know, just email me if you have any more questions, because I know it's once you start integrating into an itinerary that the real questions come up.